and a low of 24 degrees forecast.
Weather report brought to you by Mitsubishi.
Traffic.
Taking a look at what's happening out on the roads for you. A vehicle has broken down on the SLE towards the BKE after the TPE entrance. Another vehicle has stalled, this time on the PIE towards Tuas after Adam Road exit.
If you see anything on the roads that we might have missed, you can share it with us via SMS or WhatsApp at 8855-0893. But please send the message through only when you are safely parked. You're with Money FM 89.3.
Boss, here are my mobile phone claims.
Whoa, you use almost 50 gigabytes of local data. You make calls home from overseas and you use so much local talk time?
Mostly calling clients, boss.
The total bill is, what? $5?
Yep,
There must be a mistake.
there's no mistake. With Simba Business Plan, boss.
Simba?
We get free roaming with no additional roaming charges and unlimited local talk time.
We're all changing to Simba Business Plan now. Tell everyone to visit simba.sg now.
Get up to speed with all the news and information you need to confidently make the decisions for your business and personal finance. With the Breakfast Huddle, Your Money, 12 to 1, the Afternoon Update, and Prime Time. Every weekday on Money FM 89.3, Singapore's most influential radio station. The Afternoon Update, only on Money FM 89.3.
Good afternoon. You are listening to the Afternoon Update on Money FM 89.3. And hello to everyone joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I'm Rachel Kelly.
And I'm Hong Bin Jong.
Hope you're all having a great week as we come to the end of the week and the start of the F1 weekend. We are joined, of course, by the one and only Jeff Howie, market strategist at the SGX. He's going to be giving us a breakdown on how markets have performed this week. But before we get into that, Jeff, you kind of dropped a bomb on us just now.
Sorry. Name drop. Name drop.
So before we started the live, we were chatting with Jeff. What are you doing this weekend? Are you going to go catch the F1? And Jeff shared, I'm going to catch the F1. You know, my family's involved with one of the teams. Jeff, do you want to share a little bit more about this? My jaw dropped.
Yeah, sorry. No, okay. So, Howie family have the McLarens in that family too. Bruce McLaren, the founder of the McLaren company, and myself, we basically come from the same guy that first stepped foot in Aussie. Bruce McLaren founded the McLaren company, and he was a very inspirational driver. He had something like 100 starts, 4 wins in 27 podiums, and he was an absolute legend, and unfortunately passed away in Goodwood in 1970. But nonetheless, the McLaren, I guess the McLaren name comes from when his grandfather, Benjamin Howie, moved from McLaren Vale in South Australia to New Zealand. Otherwise, those cars would be maybe called Howie cars, but I don't think it would have the same ring to it, unfortunately.
So your market cred is right up there, and your street cred kind of flew.
No.
There you go. Definitely.
Well, so we'll go. I should also say, can I plug shamelessly that if you aren't going to the F1, do go along to Suntech today or over the weekend, and you can read a little bit more about Bruce's legacy in Suntech and hear a little bit more about this wonderful company that he helped build up.
That's wonderful.
You don't
Thanks
have to,
for sharing that, Jeff. So you're going to be down at the race this weekend?
Yeah, there's still tickets. I'll take my 2 boys and we'll walk about and watch some of the races. Obviously Saturday night. Cheer on the team.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get into markets now, because you'll probably need a little bit of cheering and to let off some steam after the week that markets have had, right? I mean, taking a look at the Straits Times Index, started the week in the red, ending the week in the red. We're currently down 0.3%. Jeff, how has the week been for the SDI?
Well, I mean, it ended last week pretty low as well. So it continued those declines from last Friday. So it's currently trading around 3,100, which means it's down 120 points from where we were last Friday. And it also means that STI volatility is back. I mean, the annualized 10-day volatility is now up around 15%. That's up from 5% in early August and taking us back to volatility levels that we hadn't seen since mid-July. And it also means the STI has broken out of this 100-point trading range that took hold of it for much of August and September. So within the STI, you've got Singtel and Emperador being the most defensive plays in the course of the week. Meanwhile, you've got SATS, Yangtze Jiang Shipbuilding, and Keppel DC REIT, which have led the decliners. But interestingly, too, a little bit of sectorial trend there, because for the first 4 sessions of this week, we did see globally telecoms and consumer staples among the stronger global stocks, and we did see utility stocks among the weakest across the world.
And we had some news on the Singtel front as well regarding Optus this week.
Yeah, I've just been following everything that Singtel has put out, and Singtel has obviously addressed it through the corporate announcements that they are working very, very closely with everyone involved and all the relevant authorities to make sure that the consumers are protected.
And it seems like at the top of the actively traded counter this afternoon, we have Sebcorp Marine and Thai Bev.
Yeah, it's those two stocks are, I guess, among the traded by volume. Yep, it's exactly right. Top traded by volume. So Sebcorp Marine's up 2% at 10 cents, 10.4 cents, and Thai Beverage is at 60 cents. Thai Beverage is the group's going to have a new CFO taking over, a former executive vice president. But nonetheless, both obviously are some pretty big movers that we've got. If you look at the most traded stock by turnover, it's the usual, DBS. And I should note that the share price of DBS, it has declined, from $33.40 last week to $33.07 thereabouts right at the moment. But at the same time, for the first 4 sessions of this week, the stock saw more than $40 million of net fund flows, while the overall market saw outflows of around $460 million. So it's interesting because DBS has gained this month. It's actually up from $32.60 at the end of August to, as we said, around these $33 levels at the moment. Actually, when you look at the net institutional inflows as well, those net fund flows, with 1 day left today, you've basically got the overall stock market attracting net fund inflows so far this month, even though the STI obviously is down some 3.5-4% thereabouts.
Jeff, just talking about top movers today as well. I had a stock pick last week. It was Comfort Delgro. It's up there on the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's just eked into the top 10 in terms of value turnover, and it's up there in terms of volume as well.
Yeah, and where's it trading? $1.30? Yeah, $1.30. So it's down from $1.40 last week, but you have to remember it also reports 23%, thereabouts consistently, 23% of its revenue to the United Kingdom. Another stock which does report revenue to the United Kingdom as well, Sembcorp Industries, which is still a part of the STI, that's declined as well. I think it was at $3.20 at the end of last week, and now trading at around $3.08.
So we also got to talk about Hong Bin's stock of the week. Yes, you read my mind, Jeff. That's it. Yes, go ahead.
I think it's up. It's up 2% today, and it has been pretty defensive stock ever since April. So it spent much of its time trading between 20 cents and 26 cents for those good 5 months or so.
So looking into our stock picks for the week ahead, I'm going to say, and I know Hong Bin wanted to talk about this today as well, SATS, because after we saw that plunge of more than 20% yesterday, I'm going to be keeping a close eye to see which direction SATS goes in the week ahead.
Well, there's a good reason for that. I mean, the funding for the acquisition, and the acquisitions is Paris-based cargo handler, Worldwide Flight Services. So the acquisitions, the cost is around 1.6 billion Sing dollars. It makes SATS the world's largest global air cargo handler. but the funding for the acquisition is primarily to be sourced through 1.7 billion Sing dollars of equity fundraising. And that very swift decline yesterday was based on the potential dilutive effect of that fundraising will have. So if the deal, just I guess broadly speaking, if the deal was going to be funded by existing cash rather than a fundraising such as a rights issue, you can assume there wouldn't have been as much of a significant move as we saw yesterday. But the proposed transaction, I think, is expected to be completed by March next year, and obviously subject to approvals, which is a 50% shareholder approval, as well as regulatory approvals.
I'm going to be choosing Olam Group because I think next week we're expecting Singapore's Institute of Purchasing and Materials Management's manufacturing PMI next week, right, for September. And I think, it'll be nice to see how like commodities are affected and to see Olam Group, how they're going to perform after the release of those figures. Yeah.
What else are you going to be watching out for in the week ahead, Jeff?
Okay, so PMIs, sorry, just breathing out like, there's a bit on. So the PMI number, to pick up on what Hong Bin was saying, it's going to be watched very closely because you remember for August, that manufacturing sentiment was right on the 50 threshold. So that means it was at its lowest point in 2 years. And the preceding month also saw the electronics PMI lodge its sharpest correction or contraction, I should say, since the pandemic. And I think for August, it fell 0.9 points to 49.6. Now, that obviously was being weighed by the impact of higher interest rates, demand for technology products and services, and of course, your geopolitical issues. And there was also going into that number as well, those US bans on advanced semiconductors to China, some of the NVIDIA and AMD, if I recall right. So that one's going to be watched very closely on Monday night. We've also got retail sales due on Wednesday. Do note that I guess both the June and July retail sales were comparatively strong. They were up 15% year on year for June and then up 14% year on year for July. And that strong momentum that we saw in July, it was observed in clothing and the footwear industry. Motor vehicle sales in the meantime had dipped because of the lower COE quota. But then also we should point out that we got the private home prices coming out as well, I think on Monday. They rose 3.5% quarter on quarter in the last quarter. That was a five-fold acceleration from the 0.7% growth in the first quarter of this year. So this one will be watching very closely to see if there was a turnaround in the private home prices in the city fringe. See if there's that sharp turnaround is there. So that's what we'll be watching very closely here in Singapore.
Thanks for that, Jeff. And we're going to be talking property up next. We're going to be joined by Preeti Nair, or Preeti Pls. She's going to be telling us all about her first home purchase. Very timely, given the cooling measures that we saw announced by the government this morning. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us this Friday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Hong Bin. Thank you.
And that F1 fact, I'm still floored by that. I'm going to go check out the McLaren booth as well and take a selfie and send it to you, Jeff. I think you have to sign it. I'm just kidding. Thank you. Have a good weekend. We've been speaking with Jeff Howie, market strategist at the SGX. You're with Money FM 89.3.
This is Money FM 89.3, Singapore's most influential radio station. Keeping you company through your workday. Money FM 89.3. On Money FM 89.3.
Thanks for staying with us here on Money FM 89.3. Property cooling measures announced close to the stroke of midnight last night. A number of them, of the measures that were announced, we saw tighter housing loans, 15-month wait for private home owners to buy HDB flats. And this after we saw HDB resale prices rise for 26 straight months. It's a tough market for home buyers, but if you are in the market, we're going to hear some tips and a bit of experience from Preeti Nair. Preeti, please. She's just bought her first home. Preeti, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. Welcome to the afternoon update.
Thanks for having me. I'm very
Eh,
excited to share all about the brand new home.
We are really, I've been following you on Instagram for quite a while now, so I'm having a bit of a fangirl moment. But so yes, tell us about your experience. What would you say is the key lesson that you've learned from purchasing your first home? What was the experience like for you?
So I went into it completely clueless because at that point, I was still 26 years old. And of course, in Singapore, it's kind of impossible to buy a house. So I had to go through a lot of I spoke to my MP, I had to write a lot of appeals into HDB. So that was happening for a long time. And I finally was able to buy a house as a family nucleus. So it's myself, my brother, and my mom. And my brother and I are the owners of the house, and my mom is an occupant. So that was a whole process. So I would say the main thing, like in hindsight, now when I look back, I'm really grateful that we took a lot of time and we did a lot of research. So we spoke to so many friends who are like brand new homeowners as well. But the situation was also very different because most of them are BTO like homeowners. But for us, we were buying a resale as a family unit. So it was very tricky, but we did take our time to do a lot of research when it came to bank loans, HDB loans, and for us, making those decisions were really important. So we took our time, and I'm glad like here we are now. I think we made the right decision because I saw about the bank loans and how the fixed interest rate is going to be like it's not going to be as good as it used to be. So I think we bought a house at a good time.
And the loan to value rate as well is
Mhm.
shifting. So congratulations as well on buying your first home because it is a
Thank
big
you.
move. It's a big investment. How long did it take you to find the right property?
So this is actually quite funny, but when we started the home search, we actually decided to embark on it on our own. So we did not like engage a property agent. So when we started, my brother and I literally just went on to Property Guru 99.co, and we were just searching up okay, what's in the area, what's in an ideal spot. So the home that we ended up buying was literally the first home that we viewed on our own, but we went on
What?
to view way more homes. So like we eventually engaged an agent, and he arranged so many viewings for us, but somehow we ended up buying the first house. But because we had an agent already involved, he helped us like close everything, and it was so much more convenient to have someone who could help with the whole process.
And the paperwork as well, right?
Yeah,
To look through all
it's
the
a lot of
paperwork.
paperwork. Yeah.
That's right. And you went through renovation as well. What was that like? Because renovations often aren't easy.
Yeah, so the same thing actually. We took a long time to decide if we were gonna go the interior design route or actually just work with the contractor directly. So after speaking to a bunch of friends, we had no confidence to just work with a contractor because we thought like we would need to do a lot of the work. Or we thought we would need to kind of work as an agency and manage all the vendors and do all that. But we had amazing contractors who they took on everything. They worked like an ID. They really like gave us so much design advice. So the process was actually really fast considering like we are in a global pandemic. It actually took like 2.5 months for a 5 room HDB full reno. And I was really
That's
impressed by that.
fast. Yeah.
But I think they
Mine
also
took a
had to
lot longer.
expedite everything. Yeah. But we were also renting before that. So it was a very tricky like timeline of we needed to get out of our previous house and we couldn't extend our rent anymore. So our contractors just made it work. They expedited everything, and we managed. Even we did move in before renovation was fully complete, but they saved all like the minor works for the end, so we could still live with like all the renovation happening.
And there's always a lot of talk about sustainability and making homes climate friendly. What were some of the key
Mhm.
considerations that you thought about or put into your home and your renovation?
So we really went into this with like a blank slate because I've been renting houses my whole life. So like after my family lost our childhood home, I really like the smallest things to even hanging something up on my wall or even painting my room was just it was so much fun for me when we moved into this house and I was like, I could finally do these things. I could pick like the wall in front of me is completely painted blue. I can hang like a portrait up on my wall. I'm like, these things are so exciting to me. So of course we had a lot of fun with all the different aspects in the house and we did focus on things like okay we really wanted to have like blinds in the house and I know that's something that you noticed as well. So we have like
Yeah.
dura blinds and zip track blinds throughout our house, so we have a lot of glass elements because it kind of just makes the whole house way brighter and just looks so much more spacious. So we made sure to like add in like these couple of considerations so we could like just have more space without like actually creating more space.
And so that said, with so much that you're able to do now with your own home, what's your favorite feature?
Ooh, okay, so I have a walk-in wardrobe, which is mind-blowing to me.
Oh,
But
nice.
right? So we tore down the storeroom, and my room has a little extension. So I took the storeroom, and it is all glass, so I can see everything in my wardrobe, and there's a
All
vanity
your
inside. So
shoes.
yeah, yeah. So my shoes are all, yeah, everything has a space. Like it's so much fun. And I'm also a Virgo, so I'm very like I love organizing things. I have so much fun like when things are placed where they're supposed to be. So yeah, having a walk-in wardrobe is just so much fun for me. And getting ready is just very exciting.
Okay, Preeti, we've got a question that's come in from one of our listeners, Hongbin.
We have several though, but Arif says this is a very important question. What's a crucial tip you would give to your first time renters or property buyers?
Ooh, I would say take your time. Like, don't just like, we just got lucky by getting the first house that we viewed, but really take your time with it and consider everyone's considerations. Because if you're not like living on your own, it really matters. Like accessibility, like how long is it going to take for you to buy food every day, to get to the MRT, all these things. Like, consider everyone's considerations.
We've got more questions coming. Someone says, I want to know how much you spent in total on your renovation. You don't have
Ooh.
to reveal the number, Lindsay. But maybe you can share, did you go over budget? Because that's often the perception, right? You're going to do a
Yeah.
renovation. I'm going to have a little bit saved, but I know I need extra because it's probably going to burst that. But did you find that was the
Yeah.
case?
So for us, because we went into it like we're just asking our friends for advice and stuff, I was told that a simple like full overhaul 5 room renovation would be around 50K. So because we were not doing like a simple like just to go there and live. We were really like trying to make this our dream home. So for sure, I would say we were over budget, but it's also tricky because I did reach out to a lot of vendors. I did work together with a lot of different brands and clients. So I did feature a lot of their stuff in my house. So there were a couple of discounts here and there. So I wouldn't say like my experience is completely, like how it would be for everyone for sure. But yeah, it was a very interesting collaborative journey, and a lot of like everyone we worked with as well. We made sure like yeah, we took our time with it, and we really went to everyone's showrooms. We really like spoke to our contractors about every decision we made, and we definitely were over budget, but I would say it's worth it.
Well, it's your home, and as you mentioned, you want to make it your dream home as well, with your own Carrie Bradshaw closet. I'm very jealous
So
of your
jealous.
walk-in. We've got a few other questions that have come in before we get on to your business journey. We've got one question that's come in from Frida. Well, a few are asking for which ID or which interior designer you worked with. I'm assuming that's on your social media. People can go and check it out.
Yeah, so I filmed an entire house tour. I did all of that. So I'm currently in the midst of editing everything. So I think in the month of October, all the content will be live on my page. And I didn't end up working with interior designers. I worked with a pair of contractors. So I'll be tagging them and yeah, for sure shouting out all the great work that they do.
So stay tuned for that. We've got another question that's come up, and it says, how did you end up choosing your ID? Although I know that you ended up working with contractors, so perhaps how did you end up choosing your contractors?
So I was just at my friend's house, and I was so impressed by the renovation that she did in her house, and she immediately put me in touch with her contractors. But before we decided to go the contractor route, we spoke to so many IDs, and the quotes that we got were insane. They were like so over budget that I was like, there is no way we can do this. We need to scale it back. So I was immediately very thrown off by all the ID quotes, and that's why I was like, okay, you know what? Let's speak to the contractors. Let's see like how much they would do the same thing for. So immediately when we spoke to them, I think that kind of like cancels out a lot of like, I guess, other hidden costs, and they were very upfront about like how much specific things were gonna cost, and it wasn't just like a lump sum type of thing. So it was very easy to kind of cancel out things that we didn't think was necessary. And working with them was just, I felt like a way more like personal one-on-one experience, and we could just express to them like, here are our concerns, here are our financial constraints, and like we need to make this work, but what can we do?
So I want to ask you, you mentioned financial budgets and balancing, that you worked with a number of parties for the renovation and for the home. And I want to find out from you, because often we hear a lot of youngsters, they want to get into the same line that you are, although I know that you do comedy, but you're also an influencer as well. And that is an aspiring career for many young people these days. What would you say to those that are looking to take the same path as you?
I really think in the industry that I'm in, it's really about finding your niche and kind of doing what makes the most sense to you, but also being unique. Because I think it's especially when people hear the word influencer, people have like a cookie cutter like picture in their head of how an influencer should look and sound and like the kind of content they make. So I literally started my career by kind of creating satire around influencers, and I was doing parodies of influencers, and everyone started to call me the anti-influencer. So that's how it happened, and I guess that was my niche at the start. I was always like, you know what, I'm gonna do parodies. I'm gonna like joke about how like, hey, I'm everyone's favorite influencer. I'm Singapore's top influencer, even though I was like, okay, I'm horrible at everything, and this whole character is me being delusional. So that was the thing that I found worked best for me to kind of get like all my messages across, put everything out there on the internet in the most hilarious way, and a way that I thought was just so funny. So because I was laughing at my own jokes, I was like, you know what? I hope someone out there was going to laugh at this too. So that's how
I
it
laugh
worked
at
out
your
for me.
jokes.
And I
Yes.
thank you. But yeah, I really think it's about finding that one thing that you haven't seen on the internet yet, and really trying to be uniquely you, because that's why people want to watch your stuff, because you are you. No one else is you.
That's right. Now you're Singapore's top homeowner. There you go. Okay. Well, Preeti, we'd love to have to talk to you some more, but unfortunately we've run out of time. But thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for sharing. And you can go and check out Preeti's Instagram page. It's Preeti Pls to find out more about her contractor. To those of you who are still asking, go and check it out. And stay tuned. She's got more content coming up. You are listening to Money FM 89.3, and we've been speaking with Preeti Nair. Stay tuned to the show if you're listening in on the radio. Primetime is coming up next.
Money FM 89.3.